Good evening, everybody. The Irish Demon here, back with another video. Now, this is a slightly different one. I'm going to be kind of reacting to this whole thing live. Now, this is the case between Kate and Josh versus Chili De Castro last week. And yeah, let's get stuck straight into it. This is going to be like an unedited thing. Just want to give you guys a live reaction. So I hope you enjoy. Here we go.
Mrs. De Castro and the two defendants, please raise your right hand. Raise your right hand, Mrs. De Castro.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly
High
and solemnly
five.
swear that the statement you're about to give this court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. I do.
I don't think he's
Thank you.
capable
Thank you.
of like actually telling the truth. So he might have just been done for perjury.
All I have before me Mr. De Castro's two requests for harassment orders against Mr. Abrams and Ms. Peters. Mr. De Castro, are you seeking to have these orders issued against these two individuals?
Oh, yes, please. I would definitely have orders issued. It's it's beyond the scale of anything reasonable. It's incredible. It's astonishing.
All right, so before you tell me anything else, sir, I'm going to handle this one party at a time. I did read your affidavits for both of your requests. I want you to first explain to me why I should issue an order against Mr. Abrams based on what you've put in your affidavit.
Okay, so obviously she's directly asked him to give the information leading to his decision to ask for an order against Josh Abrams. But have a listen and see if he actually says anything about Josh here.
And then Mr. Abrams, you'll have an opportunity to respond after he tells me. Just please don't interrupt him, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Mr. De Castro.
Well, Your Honor, on August 30th, 2022, in a video called Search Success, Delete Laws, Communications found Josh Abrams, who's 7 times a felon, who's just got out of prison from armed robbery.
So, Mr. De Castro, I'm going to stop you right there. I have the benefit of having Mr. Abrams' record here in front of me. That's not the issue before me. The issue before me is what specifically you're suggesting he may have said or done to cause you to come into court and request this harassment order. So I want you to stick to the facts as they pertain directly to you.
So, of course, he has to try to monologue to say, this guy's a really bad guy, Your Honor, so you've got to give me this order.
So in the video, he's driving around Boston, actively looking for me, working in conjunction with Kate Peter. They have technology hasn't caught up with the laws yet, and that's what this case is truly about. The reason why your courtroom is so full of people is because there's internet trolls, Your Honor. When you say the word troll, you have to change the name troll to harasser or harassment. They call it a troll in today's era, but it's just harassing someone else or being a nuisance or causing them
So,
stress.
Mr. De Castro, you say that Mr. Abrams and Ms. Peters were driving around Boston looking for you, and is that one of the reasons why you're asking for this order?
Oh yeah, Your Honor. They have.
When did that happen?
That was on August 30th, 2022. My assistant.
Okay, have there been any other incidents?
Excuse me, ma'am?
Have there been any other incidents since this August 30th incident, or them driving around and looking for you?
Yeah. So I was in Boston and New Hampshire from around August 28th till September 5th or so, September 7th. And Miss Peter visited my home where I was in Boston visiting with a friend. She took a picture. Now, the incoming documents that I have from my assistant will show you, I've already called the police on this woman over Memorial Day. The police were already involved. It already became a physical interaction.
Mr. De Castro, are you talking to me about Ms. Peters right now?
They work in conjunction, Your Honor, so sometimes the stories kind of blur. I apologize. They work in
So I'm
conjunction.
focusing on Mr. Abrams right now. I want you to limit what you're telling me to what he may have said or done that caused you to come into court and request this order. And I appreciate that there may be some overlap, and you might have to repeat yourself when it's time for me to hear from Ms. Peters, but I want you to address specifically and solely what you're alleging Mr. Abrams has done.
Well, Your Honor, so I know you have his record in front of you, but being a felon is a scary thing. And then he was actively on a video, driving around, accepting donations, looking for me while I was in Boston. And what Kate Peters does is she marks my location, and then she sends a troll farm, a harassment farm after me. Where the laws have not caught up to where we are.
So yeah, she sent a harassment troll farm. Just let that sink in for a minute.
I got a bunch of affidavits from people who went down, swore statements, and got it notarized for you to read. There's 4 different people who she's done this to previously, who have written these sworn statements that are notarized. My assistant's on his way to your court now to give you those 4 different affidavits. This is beyond incredible, Your Honor. You can't imagine what I'm going through. You can't even fathom it. They're stalking me. And Josh drove around saying he's looking for me.
With all due respect to you, Mr. DeCastro, you've told me about 2 things, one of which was on or about August 30th, where you say that Mr. Abrams and Ms. Peters were driving around looking for you. And then you tell me about August 28th through August 9th, where perhaps a photograph of you was taken.
No,
So it's not clear to me what exactly you're experiencing or going through, and I'm asking you to be clear.
So, okay, on August 30th, Kate Peter posted a picture of herself at the lobby of the apartment I was staying in Boston. What that does when she posts the picture, which my assistant will have to
Just to clarify, she didn't post a picture of herself in the lobby. That's bending the truth a little bit there, if I'm going to say it very mildly. She posted a picture of her outside the building, which she's got every right to do and every right to be there. So what's the problem?
on the report now. She marks where I'm at. And then once my location is marked, she has 25,000 professional harassers who will look up where I'm at, my location, anybody that owns anything around me that I'm associated with, and then they'll inundate them. That's what the 4 affidavits are.
So he says that there's 25,000 professional trolls. As I said before in side chats and stuff like that, where's my money, man? If I'm a professional troll, I want to get paid for it. But I just, do what I do for fun.
Or other people who these people will mass contact in an attempt to harass me. And so they went to my place in Boston. She literally posted a picture on her community page on YouTube. I believe it was August 29th or August 30th, September 2nd. I have the actual photograph. And then I was staying at a summer home out in New Hampshire in the middle of nowhere. They drove out there, put up a sign that says, Kate always wins, put up balloons. I have pictures of all of the stuff in the text messages.
So who did that? If that did in fact happen, which I'm going to say it didn't, but okay. Who did it? Did Kate do it? Did Josh do it? If not, then what's it got to do with them? They can't control what people do. The same way as when people doxed me and released information about me and followed me when I was in America, I can't say that that was your fault. I can't say that it was your people doing that you caused that to happen.
With the people whose house they went to, that freaked them out. Because it's in the middle of nowhere in New Hampshire. They had to drive 100 miles to get there.
Who's they?
So
And when was this New Hampshire incident, sir?
What's that?
When was this New Hampshire incident?
It would have been September 5th, September 6th. I have screenshots of the text messages coming from the homeowners saying, what the heck is this? Who are these people coming out? They were alarmed and they fired my friend who works for them. He had to fight for his job back.
So in Kate's stream the other night, if you haven't seen it, go check that out. She was explaining that in those messages, it was actually not about who had turned up or any of that stuff. It was a case of basically you're releasing all this information. You're letting your friend, Chili, stay here and it's causing us a load of trouble. He's on the internet walking around this person's apartment, showing where everything is and saying exactly where it is without saying it. It's very easy to know where something like that is. So obviously they don't want you, some random bloke in their house, causing trouble for them. They've got every right to ask you to leave. If you act like a dickhead on the internet and then there's ramifications for it, that's on you.
Because they were so spooked. Ma'am, this is so armed. I don't think you understand what's going on. She just marks the location and then they come after you. And my other affidavits from people who also notarized, you'll be able to read it yourself. I mean, it's taken me a month to put everybody together because I don't know these people that she just contacted. It's crazy. I have a federal tort lawsuit against both of them. So now that I have the tort lawsuit served, now I can get a subpoena for Airbnb where they came to my Airbnb on May 22nd. They marked my location. They put it in Kate's Discord server called the Chili Watch Discord server.
Did Kate do that? Did Josh do that? No. Not that I'm aware of. And unless you can prove that they did, or even asked for people to do it, then you got nothing here. It's as simple as that. I go after people on the internet who I believe are scammers or grifters or whatever the case may be, trying to take advantage of people. That's what I do. Some people don't like that. Likewise, some people don't like what you do. So the people that don't like me because I talk about you may come after me and follow me or whatever the case may be. I can't blame you for that. That's a result of my actions putting myself out there, the same as this is a result of your actions. I don't necessarily condone people going out there causing all that trouble for you, but you have drawn it on yourself, to be real here. If we're just getting it down to brass tacks, you can't turn around and blame Kate and Josh just because they expose your lies and stuff that you get up to. That's your fault.
And then they came to my house at 3 o'clock in the morning and tapped on my windows and doors. I grabbed my gun. I was terrified. I was in Ohio. And then the next day, someone walked into my house. I put a gun to his head because I didn't know who it was. My state of
Let me
being-
ask you this.
I wouldn't be admitting that on open court. Like, I mean, that's crazy.
Mr. DeCastro, why do you think Mr. Abrams and Miss Peters are doing this?
Ma'am, that's what I'm trying to say. It's a thing on the internet now. It's called trolling, but it's called harassment. And what they do is they get as many people.
I
together-
understand what harassment is, sir. I understand what trolling is, but my question is,
But I also, this judge, it's hard to tell, but I would say she's in her maybe mid-30s. So she's like nearly 20 years younger than Chili. Of course she knows what trolling is. Come on, man.
why would they be trolling or harassing you?
That's how they make money, Your Honor. They make money by finding someone who has a big personality. It's not just me. They'll attach to any person. They've been doing this for years. I have affidavits by people who also have the same story as I do.
Show me anybody that any of us had made a video about that wasn't a serial grifter, scammer, somebody who's out there to try to take advantage of people for money. Show me one. There's plenty of big personalities out there. You're not going to see videos about me. I'm not saying I'm some big personality, but I'm big enough that if somebody had an issue with me and wanted to make a video about me, I'm sure it would get some views or whatever. So you might get one or two people who will. Now, to be fair, with what I do on the internet, it upsets some people. And so I'm likely going to get some flack for that. But I'm a grown man. I'm a big boy. I can look after myself. You, on the other hand, have been doing this nonstop for quite a while. You're out there threatening people, saying horrible things about kids and all this kind of stuff. Obviously, you're going to get flack for it.
And matter of fact, Kate has a criminal case coming up where she violated a harassment protection order last month. She has a criminal case coming up this week.
I don't believe she has a criminal case. If I'm not mistaken, they applied for it to be looked into or whatever, but I don't think there is actually a criminal case filed.
And then another guy also has a harassment protection order in this court on Friday, and then another one in New Hampshire.
That would be Zane Kane. How did that go again? Oh yeah, just like you, he lost.
On Monday.
Spoiler alert.
I mean, the law is finally catching up to this woman, but this is what she does for a living. She finds someone who's really outgoing, has a big personality, and then she attaches them and harasses them professionally with 25,000 harassers. She pays people. Your Honor,
Where's the proof for that? First of all, it's not 25,000. I think the Discord group has 2,500. As for paying people, show me that evidence. Show me that evidence, because I want to see it, because I'll be sending a bill.
I can question her, you'll see what she's doing is criminal, and I can prove it right here in this courtroom today. I can prove what she's doing is criminal. And
So,
she's
Mr.
after-
DeCastro, it sounds like you're saying a lot of she's and hers. It sounds like the bulk of what you're telling me relates to Miss Peters and not to Mr. Abrams.
They're freaking crack, Your Honor. They're head to head. So Josh Abrams, what he did, Your Honor, and I have thousands of text messages. He faked being my friend, and the whole time he was acting like he was my friend, he was giving my location to Kate Peter so that she could bombard me. She showed up and physically had a physical interaction with me.
Dude, you put out streams and videos saying exactly where you were going to be, and you streamed live while you were there in Boston. It's not that hard to find somebody in that scenario. I'm not from Boston, but by looking at your live stream, I'm sure if I tried, I could pinpoint your exact location within minutes. All it takes is like one shop front in the background or something recognizable that you can Google and go, boom, there he is. If I wanted to do that. So if you keep streaming your exact position online, some people are going to find out where you're at. And she has every right to come down there and talk to you. She has every right to go down there and confront you. 100%.
Where I went to the police and I filed a police report because we physically interacted. Remember, I don't know
Oh, that was the day that you physically assaulted her too, right?
her. I've never dated her. We weren't friends. We weren't coworkers. I don't know this
They never
woman.
dated?
She just does this to people on the internet. And what she does, though, remember, she's just a marker. She marks your location. And then she says, it wasn't me that came to your house and put dog shit on your doorstep, which I
Nutella.
have a video from coming in to show you. They put dog poop all over the door and broke my doorknob. My van was stolen out of my driveway 3 weeks ago.
So that was Nutella on the doorknob. Evidently. It was so obviously set up. It was unbelievable. As for your van, and this is just my opinion, I am still very much of the opinion that that was repossessed. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just saying that that's what I think.
It's scary. I mean, whether I like it or not, I'm not afraid of Catherine Peter. I'm afraid that she's the marker. And then the bad people come after me.
So way to go. You just admitted that you are not afraid of Catherine Peter. Case closed.
And there's a guy named Joseph Hart who wrote me an affidavit. He explained she did the same thing to him, and he almost got hurt badly. I have a sworn affidavit from him coming in.
So, sir, you're referring to affidavits, which I don't have in front of me, so I'm not going to consider that. Now, what I am going to do right now is turn it over to Mr. Abrams to give him an opportunity to address what you've told the court. Sir, in the back, please put those papers down. You're not a part of this proceeding.
So I haven't actually ever seen this video. I've obviously I was listening to it live when it happened, but so Zane Kane walked in with the affidavits, like super creepily walked in. Apparently he creeped everybody out.
Sir, if you cannot comply with the court's orders to not interfere with this hearing, you'll be ejected from the courtroom. I don't want to have to do that.
Four
The parties
times before.
me are Mr. DeCastro, Mr. Abrams, and Ms. Peters, and no one else.
That might be my assistant, Your Honor, with the paperwork.
Assistant.
Well, and your assistant is not you, Mr. DeCastro.
Bam.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying
So I'm
to
going to turn it over to Mr. Abrams right now to give him an opportunity to respond to what he can make of what you've told the court. Mr. Abrams.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
If I could give just a little bit of background to explain how I know this gentleman. Thank you. I did meet him through YouTube. We had not met personally. We travel within the same YouTube sphere or community where we do the same type of social media. At that point, we became
Piggy's
friends. I started following him, and at one point, he did come to Massachusetts to go out and film with me. There was an incident at a Memorial Day parade in Stoneham, Massachusetts, where we attended with the intent of filming the parade, some of the police officers there, and anything in the surrounding area. At one point during the parade, now myself and Ms. Peters actually have somewhat of a contentious past. You know, her job in some capacity is to report or give oversight or reviews of things that I do. So we do know each other, but it wasn't always in a friendly manner. We rarely ever spoke. But in this incident at this parade, which is still live and available on Mr. DeCastro's channel, Delete Laws, he started walking up to several children, mostly female, between the ages of approximately 6 and 9, and was...
Mr. DeCastro.
I heard that creepy laugh when I was watching this live, but this is the first time I'm actually seeing the video of it. Oh my God.
Please do not interrupt the proceeding. The warning that I provided applies to you as well. Go ahead, Mr. Abrams.
Thank you, Your Honor. Still on this live video, it shows him walking up to these young children, stating that the police will rape them, to not trust the police, and never call the police. About this time, I started separating myself from him because I am an absolute free speech advocate, but I feel like parenting someone's children is unacceptable, but this behavior was even more so. Ms. Peters did show up to, kind of troll us, to get us on video now, and for us to have an interaction, which I had no problem with. I did not feel threatened by it. It's the internet, you know what I mean? She was not saying anything hateful or anything that put me in fear. It seemed that Mr. DeCastro immediately became upset. His live stream, also my video, is on the internet now as well. It's gone somewhat viral.
Tell me that he was not just recording that there, right? Now, okay, so I did a bit of quick legal diving into this, and so while the judge did give a warning at the start of this not to record the proceedings, it isn't illegal for me to then play what has been recorded and put out. I just want to clarify that. Because he's a party to the case, it is not lawful for him to record it, As you can see his phone there in the corner of the screen. The way I see it on my screen, you can see it more clearly. Yeah, so I just wanted to point that out. And somebody does mention that to the judge here at the end as well. But here we go.
Viral, where at this point he sees now Miss Peters doing the same thing that he's doing. She's following behind him and saying, I'm with him, I'm with him. On 3 separate occasions, as seen in video, he actually steps back and body checks into her. There are 3 different points where he physically shoves her, one from about 3 to 4 feet. It's captured very clearly in video.
Mr. Abrams, I'm going to interrupt just for 1 second.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
date was this?
This was on Memorial Day, Your Honor.
This past year?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Go ahead.
And if anybody does want to see this in its entirety, it's over on Dummy Kruger's channel. The link will be provided down below, so you can check that out.
At this point, the police did see what was going on. They said on the video and in their report that, we saw what you were doing. You're trying to bump into her. You're pushing her. He, at that point, asked if he could tase her or assault her. The police told him that if he did that, that could end in criminal charges. The police asked all of us to leave for the sake of the children. One last time, when the police officer turned his back, again captured on video, he turned around and elbowed Miss Peters' wrist.
He being Mr. DeCastro.
Correct, Your Honor, causing the phone to actually fall from her hand. At this point, as you can see from his live stream and my video, he became so physically enraged going after her that I physically, now this is someone that's supposed to be my friend, I'm now physically holding him back.
Just, a word of advice for anybody out there who is either trying to get a restraining order or trying to defend one. When somebody is talking about you in court, in fact, this goes for criminal charges too. Crazy laughing like this, looking like a big weird chipmunk up here in the corner, probably not the best image if you're trying to say that you're not crazy. Probably not the best image.
Someone I've had a contemptuous relationship with, because I'm now concerned that his behavior is either going to hurt Ms. Peters or some of the children that are nearby. At that point, the issue, our friendship quickly went downhill. Mr. DeCastro appeared for a restraining order in which I was a witness on behalf of Ms. Peter just several days after this event.
He's tried to get one against her.
Yes, ma'am. This is his second attempt. It was first at the Woburn District Court. It was not given to him, and much the same as in this case, a date was set up for us to be heard in front of a judge. And in front of that case, the judge again said that there was no warrant or merit. However, when we went on break from that courtroom, as Ms. Peter was present, I went outside. Mr. DeCastro first found out that I was being a witness for her at that date. So he's just now found out. We're now on recess from court. I immediately started receiving, which I've saved.
What date was that you
This was, do you remember the date of that? June 12th, possibly, Your Honor.
Okay.
I immediately started receiving text messages, nothing threatening, but as a witness against him, I felt that it was inappropriate to now be receiving text messages saying.
So yeah, you're clearly winning the case right now, Chili. The best thing to do is to keep shaking your head with a big creepy smile like this. That'll definitely win it for you. You don't look crazy at all.
And that what I was doing was wrong and how saddened he was, but there was nothing physically threatening. At this point, Your Honor, I did start doing videos on Mr. DeCastro as these videos became public interest. Oftentimes, as you can see, the videos are of me watching his live streams, reviewing things that he said, correcting certain things that he has said. And Mr. DeCastro's affirmation on his affidavit for this restraining order today, he said he gave my location to Kate Peters, causing the intimidation or danger. A lot of what Mr. DeCastro says relates to trolls and people that I have 90,000 viewers, 23 million views. I certainly cannot make people do anything. It's very clear in my videos. I always say that in no way would I wish for people to contact him. In no way am I asking for people to contact him. This is the internet. People leave comments on my things that I don't like. People leave comments on his things that I don't like. But it should be kept in mind that on the date that he's saying that I went to follow him, what Mr. DeCastro failed to remit to the court is that he was on a live stream interviewing in public at a public place in Boston. He also announced that he had service with me. I believe the gentleman standing here today, I'm not aware of his name, but that is one of his friends or his colleagues that is now trying to stand up and I believe maybe serve us. But we were served a lawsuit or attempted lawsuit from this gentleman. So I went to get service. That's what I was, and this gentleman apparently is doing his service for him. You could see this gentleman in the video. So I
I
absolutely.
know that you were going to be served.
He made public statements, Your Honor, letting me know that there was a lawsuit, that he came to
On the
Massachusetts.
live stream?
Yes,
On
ma'am.
that,
Yes, Your Honor.
date, okay.
On several live streams, that he came to Boston to serve both myself and Miss Peter, that he was contacting a constable, that he was going to serve me, and I live with my elderly mother. And to avoid constables, and I work all day, so to avoid constables or people she doesn't know showing up at the house,
Where's he
he
going?
said, I'm going to serve Mr. Abrams as soon as I can and when I feel like it. So I
Where's he going? Hey, Cholito, come back. You're in court, genius.
felt that if he was with the person who's now available trying to serve me now when he's first seen me, then I would go and get the lawsuit in hand. He wound up ending his stream. I did not seek to go find him after that. I did conduct several more videos, but nothing certainly with credible threats or fighting words. He says that I announced that I was working with several Discord accounts as he traveled the city to find Jose. I believe this is the incident that he's referring to, Your Honor. I was on a live stream. I did not have the capacity to operate in Discord, and the Discord that he's referring to has over 2,000 people in it, most of whom I only know by a moniker or a tag name. I don't know these people. I don't ask them to go to Mr. Peters, to Mr. DeCastro's house. I would ask that my record has no relevance, although I recognize my record. In this case, it seems to be confusing, as today I've brought as evidence. I was on a live stream just 2 days ago, and this is a gentleman that's saying he's in fear of his life to the point that I must need to be physically restrained by a court order. He's not verbalized anything that would put him in fear that I have done directly, either that or indirectly, or provided proof. He has, however, said in a live stream recently, for someone that is quite scared of me, he took the time to, I went onto a live stream, Your Honor, when he was there, and he dropped off, and then I continued a conversation with the channel owner for about 20 minutes, when we were talking about a case that they were covering or reviewing. At that point, Your Honor, he found it necessary, being scared for his life, intimidated by me, to come up on live stream. I have a video, about 30 seconds of that today, where he came on the live stream. He called me a rapist. He called me a fat piece of shit, which is his freedom of speech to do so. And then he made, on 2 separate occasions during this live stream, 2 separate fist gestures, and he told me that he better hope that,
So if there's any foul language, I'm gonna ask you to abbreviate, don't say the full word.
Yes, ma'am. My apologies. He said, you better hope when I find you there's no cameras, because, you better hope there's somebody to save you. And I have that today. I brought it with, he made a fist gesture.
This is something that Chili does all the time. As I've said countless times, right? He is his own worst enemy. Like, he doesn't think before he speaks ever. Like, going on that stream and saying those things and an abundance of other things was a terrible mistake. But he is so up his own ass that you don't know where he starts or ends. He just thinks that people should just accept what he says, that says that the judge should just be like, oh, well, yeah, clearly, Mr. DeCastro, you're absolutely right. Here's your order, and here's $1 million just in case.
Later on during the live stream, he told me I was going to get it. Again, Mr. DeCastro made a fist gesture on about approximately 4 other live streams. He said publicly how he could, he didn't say he was going to, Your Honor. He said he could beat the SH out of me. So these are all documented instances of Mr. DeCastro actually making violent threats against me. More so, Your Honor, I believe that this has nothing to do with any legal proceedings or Mr. DeCastro feeling in harm, in jeopardy, in any way for myself or Miss Peters. I did bring video today as well, which I'm obliged to provide to the court, of Mr. DeCastro saying, I don't care if this goes anywhere. I'm just going to keep going after them legally. I'm going after them over and over again, and I'm going to take every dime they have until they can't afford a lawyer, until I destroy them. He quotes, obliterate them.
This is exactly what I'm talking about, his own worst enemy. He may well have been able to do all of those things, but the fact of the matter is, not only is it in evidence because it's been read into evidence and because, people have the physical evidence, but now it's also on the record in court. During a harassment protection order hearing where the judge basically ignores your request and tells you that you can't have the order. So you have it on the record now that you've said these things.
I believe that this is a vexatious attempt,
100%.
more so proving Miss Peters' interaction with him, where this is the first time I'm in court, but we went to a local court out of my jurisdiction. A judge denied it. We went in front of another judge, Your Honor. A judge denied that as well. We're here today, Your Honor. He cites that Ms. Peters has several different court dates coming up. It's actually from the same thing. They applied, this gentleman, I believe, if that's the correct person, filed for, again, a restraining order against her. It was denied out of New Hampshire. So when it was denied out of Hampshire, that's the hearing date, much like today that he has coming up. So it's not a separate date. He then came to Massachusetts to do it again. It appears, Your Honor, that this is an attempt to either substantiate his lawsuit, but in no way, shape, or form have I, or do I believe Mr. DeCastro has proved today that I have uttered any true threats or fighting words, that I have
So just to go
personally...
through his affidavit, on May 30th of this year, you're suggesting, he's saying you gave his location to Kate Peters, you're saying he was live streaming.
Yes, ma'am. The video is still up, Your Honor. The video, and I believe the last time I checked, it had 11 point something thousand views. Mr. DeCastro, 95% of
His face right there when he realized, he was like, shit, I should have deleted that.
his videos are actually live stream. And I believe the video on this date, he was actually questioning people about if they were aware of their constitutional rights. He was live for about an hour and a half.
And just further to my point, because he was live streamed, his location was known and knowable.
Yes, ma'am.
Very much so.
Especially where he was live streaming, because he was showing where he was at. He was talking about the significance of the building he was standing in front of.
Okay.
You know, and secondly, I did not send anything in Discord because as he was live, Your Honor, I was live as well. And, you know,
I can confirm that too, personally, because while he was live, I had actually sent a message to Josh about something completely different, and I didn't get a response back. Now, that could be because it's me and he didn't want to, but myself and Josh have chatted before. So I knew, because later on he messaged me back saying, sorry, I couldn't get through to you, I was streaming. And now I didn't know he was streaming at the time, so I didn't know that that's why he wasn't able to be on Discord, but take that as you will.
can't during a live stream then leave the live stream and go through Discord. I think Mr. DeCastro mistakes and confuses whether it's his knowledge or lack thereof concerning things that if someone does something or they say, oh, you're a jerk because, you know, Josh or Accountability for All said this or said that, that is not me. That is, you know, my company, what I do, I portray a character online. I cover civil rights issues on my backup channel. I cover more public interest events. Because of this case, Your Honor, because this is public interest, I've covered this quite a bit more.
Mr. Abrams, you denied that on August 30th. You didn't announce, well, if you did announce that you were working with Discord accounts, it wasn't with the intent to have anyone else go and find him.
No, Your Honor. I didn't announce that I was working with Discord. I did personally say, Your Honor, in complete and total honesty, that I was going to try and find, because this gentleman here was with him and is his assistant, his server for legal documents. So I did try and make an appearance to go there so I could get served. He
Keep shaking your head.
An hour before I was able to get there.
And again, on August 30th, that was another live stream where during that live stream,
I think he's actually referring to the same one, Your Honor. There was only one live stream, and I still have it, that I ever went in search of him.
Was there never an August 30th incident as far as you're concerned?
I don't think so.
Like, with the greatest respect, does Chili have like Parkinson's or something? Because he literally can't stop. We don't stop shaking our head.
I think he's referring to the same incident. I could be wrong. Maybe it was mentioned on a panel or like a talk show venue where I was reciting the incident that happened.
All right.
But there was not a second time where I attempted to find him. And my actions were warranted, Your Honor, because my mother, she's 76, she is elderly, she's a retired government employee.
No, understood. I understand why you may have traveled to wherever he was to try to get the service that he was suggesting he wanted to serve upon you. On September 2nd, he says you physically went searching for him, even asking for funds.
Ready for the
What do
head
you say to
shaking
that
to continue?
suggestion?
Your Honor, I believe again that when we're talking about the dates where
coming.
I was going to find him, I believe this stems from the same live stream that I did when I was out with another gentleman that is here in court today, and we were taking video in probably about 30 minutes from Boston of a car accident. I believe that's the issue that he's talking about. I never went to give his location to Ms. Peters, and I did ask for funds. However, that was because, Your Honor, YouTube does not pay till the 22nd. I have to appear now in court for what I believe, for all intents and purposes, is vexatious litigation. So I did explain and recount the best of my ability and my honesty what happened, my history with Mr. DeCastro, where we are at now legally with both pending civil matters, as in the restraining order case and the federal lawsuit. And I have been asking that if anyone would like to contribute funds to that matter, it is greatly appreciated. We were not able to reach that goal, obviously, as I'm representing myself here today.
All right, I'm going to.
So Chili must be hurting so bad right now at the fact that he isn't being able to talk over and respond, because he's so used to monologuing. And then on top of that, he's so used to muting people in his side chat, talking over people, all of that kind of stuff, and then just ignoring things. So this must be hurting him really bad. And we're about to see how much it's hurting him right here.
Stop you, Mr. Abrams and Ms. Peters. I'm going to have you come up now and address the court. Mr. DeCastro, you have an opportunity to address, you'll have an opportunity to address everything that was said after Ms. Peters is done. The reason I'm doing it this way, sir, is because your presentation, you lumped them both in together, so it makes sense for me to hear from the both of them, and then you can address at the end. So I'm going to ask you to mute yourself so I can hear from Ms. Peters. Ms. Peters.
Good morning, Your Honor. We can just stick to the affidavit here, otherwise it can get extremely convoluted. I apologize for the circus. This is, for all intents and purposes, a spectacle that is, going on in front of thousands of people. I do run a YouTube channel. Mr. DeCastro, in my opinion, has been most vehemently going after me because I am female. I am more successful than he is. He seems to take exception to that. I've been a very harsh critic of his. My speech is protected. It contains no true threats and no fighting words whatsoever. Mr. DeCastro, on the other hand, since the 7th, when he asked for this order, has issued a number of veiled threats at me, telling me that I'm, going to have people show up at this courthouse. He actually has someone in the courthouse right now who has filed for a restraining order in New Hampshire against me that it was denied. He actually has an active harassment order against me right now. So I have to be here. This gentleman doesn't. I find it preposterous that these men are purporting to be afraid of me, but then going out of their way to be at the same venue that I am. This is just an ongoing campaign to chill my free speech.
You're saying this other person has a harassment order against
active
you,
right now.
not Mr. DeCastro?
No, Dane came in the courthouse. He came here of his own volition, knowing that I was going to be here, right?
This is the gentleman, sir, it's not your time to speak. Mute yourself, Mr. DeCastro. This is your last warning. This gentleman in the back of the courtroom with the
In the
sunglasses?
glasses right there. This is the second time that I've encountered this gentleman. The first time was in West Roxbury District Court when I was on a matter that did not concern Mr. DeCastro or Mr. Zane. They accosted me in the courthouse 4 times. They had to be removed by court officers 4 times. They then waited for me outside of the courthouse.
Okay, take your time.
They
Let's
waited
get
for
back
me
to the
outside of the
affidavit.
courthouse.
Let's get back to Mr. DeCastro's affidavit.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I've never stalked him physically. He can claim that I have for the court's consideration, although I would appreciate it. I understand that usually evidence would be shared with the plaintiff. This is my location history for the last 4 months. I don't want him to know where I go.
I don't need to see it.
But I have not left the state. I don't really leave the South Coast. I have 2 children. I'm employed full-time as a property manager. This YouTube is my second venture, really. So I've never physically stalked him. I've never showed up to anywhere where he was going to be. I've never caused any physical altercation.
What about this Memorial Day parade?
Oh, I did at that point. It was YouTube content. He was yelling at children. He was scaring children. I went up. I was a disruptor, and it's constitutionally protected behavior. He took great exception to it, again, because I believe I'm female.
Chili, your pearls are going to break if you clutch them any harder. He's such a bad actor. No wonder you only lasted like 2.5 minutes as the Black Power Ranger. With this kind of stuff, like, oh no, however could she say this? Come on, man, who are you fooling with this?
And he doesn't like being stood up to by a female. And he proceeded to physically assault me numerous times. He threatened me. He threatened me in the presence not only of Mr. Abrams and hundreds of onlookers, but police officers as well.
And portions of this assault?
Wow.
Yeah, I
Were caught
declined.
on video? Were captured on video? Were portions of this assault
Yes,
captured
it
on
was
video?
captured on video. I declined to file
So he
charges.
says that you physically caused a physical interaction.
In the same way that Mr. DeCastro recently wished bone cancer on children and then apologized and said that I caused him to say that.
Why are you shaking your head, Chili? That's it. First of all, you actually did say that, right? So everybody's covered it. And I said it to you in the live stream the other night. Yes, sometimes we say things that we regret out of anger or whatever the case may be. And that's fine, right? That's okay. But then you can't turn around and say that when you apologized, but your apology was like, I'm sorry that Kate made me do that. That's not an apology. And when it's brought up in court here and you go like, That's not going to fly. And close your mouth before someone puts their pee-pee in there.
Page out of the abuser's handbook. He's blaming me for his behavior. At no point did
Gaslighting.
I physically strike or physically approach Mr. DeCastro in a way that would invite being assaulted. He's the only one who assaulted
August
anyone.
2nd, he says, you mass tracked, I'm not quite sure what it says, and I think
Yeah,
he says you got him
God,
canceled.
shite.
What do you say to that?
I canceled. I got him canceled. He's here. I don't even know what that means. No, I mass tracked. He live streams his location. Mr. DeCastro, clearly, as we can see, is in his deportment before the court. He is a divisive and kind of abrasive individual. He's broadcasting himself to potentially millions of people. I cannot control that they don't like him. So he is getting trolled
Very well
online.
said.
He always gives the reaction that people are trying to elicit. You know, he constantly sort of behaves in a way that people find to be vile and objectionable. People online react to that. I have no control over that. He can't point to one instance where I've ever ordered anyone to do that. That's preposterous. I cover him because I consider it to be public interest. It is my YouTube channel. It's a source of income, which he takes great ire, you know. But it's at no point am I, you know, personally making contact with him or threatening him or putting him in any fear. I mean, again, he's got his associates burying me with paperwork, you know, asking the courts to civilly restrain me and then show up at the venue that I'm at.
August 6th, he says you got him kicked out of his Airbnb.
No, that's, again, preposterous. I would like to see how I did that.
Now, somebody might have, right? Like, somebody might have messaged his Airbnb talking about him or whatever the case may be, right? So that that's not my style personally. I can understand people's gripes with him and wanting to do that. Sure, it's not my style, but more to the point, can he show that Kate caused that or I caused that? Or Josh, I should say, or me. Why not? Why not? Because I know he hates me too. He doesn't come after me as hard. Not that I'm not able to put up much of a fight, because Kate and Josh can put up a way harder fight than I can probably, but because he knows he can't really do anything to me. He can't get me.
And then, sort of reverse order, he says, June 12th of this year, you stalked him physically.
To his Airbnb, again, I have my location information. No, I'm not stalking him physically. I mean, as far as to paraphrase the law, I'm certainly not an attorney nor a judge, but I mean, stalking has an element of physical danger written in there. At no point can he point to any time that I've, you know, even put him under the impression that he's physically in danger of me. If anything, I would say the contrary is true. He's made numerous threats against both myself and Mr. Abrams and anyone who dares to criticize him online.
And do you
What does this prove, Chili? What are you trying to show here? That you're shocked that she would say such a lie? Or is it that you know that this can all be proven, right? Because you're an idiot, frankly, and you put this all up on the internet for every single human being possibly in the world to be able to see it, right? It's pointed out that you do these things, and you go, oh my. We can see you do it. Like, it's you on there. What is it, a deep fake? Come on.
agree with Mr. Abrams that the two of you sort of were contentious before all of this?
Extremely. I put out this man's entire criminal record at some points, you know, and been very, very harshly critical of his treatment of police officers.
I just love her honesty on this, because I mean, there's no other way to do it, because, you know, our videos are all up there, us criticizing this guy, which we have the right to do. The irony of this whole thing is the fact that he claims to be a First Amendment absolutist and a First Amendment activist. But when everybody uses their First Amendment rights in a way that he doesn't like, he becomes a little tyrant. Chilito Mussolini.
You know, we have different, but I mean, apparently we can both align in this goal, which is that, you know, this man is abusing the court systems and it needs to stop. And I would hope that it would stop today. He did not come in here asking the courts to give him protection. What he is expecting the courts to do, and has been very vocal about, is to exercise prior restraint on my free speech.
Is there anything else you want me to know, ma'am?
No, ma'am, thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. DeCastro, now is your opportunity to address everything that you've heard in the form of a closing argument, okay?
I think, Your Honor, if we don't introduce my witness and the evidence, it's a travesty of justice. You're listening to people stand up there and give you a story with no evidence.
Mr. DeCastro, I need you to slow down your speech. I need you to slow down your speech because I'm having a difficult time understanding what you're saying. It's very muffled in this courtroom, so slow down.
Okay. So what I'd like to do, Your Honor, is I'd like to bring in my evidence, because what you're listening to right now is a couple of people who are, they're not the good people in this. Now, what
Oh, they're not the good people. It's like, okay, Your Honor, I'm the good people and they're the bad guys. So, like, you got to listen to what I say. Now, as for affidavits as evidence, right? So, it depends on a number of things, the jurisdiction, whether or not it's relevant to the case. Now, one could argue that it could be relevant to the case, right? So, people simply saying they do these nasty things isn't really good enough evidence, right? Especially in this scenario. Now, it would be very different if you had the affidavits of, say, 4 or 5 people or however many it is you claim that all have standing orders against Kate or Josh, right? Then you could argue, you know, Your Honor, this is evidence that this person has a history of this behavior. All of these different people have restraining orders against them for these reasons. And I think it's good evidence to suggest that what I'm saying is true or at least believable. Not in this case, though, because these are affidavits from his friends saying these people are bad.
What I did, I became a national figure when I
A national figure. Yeah, the 8 people who watch you because they like you and the maybe 2,000 that watch you because they don't. That a national figure does not make.
created a timeline that shows the history of lynchings in our country in comparison to the history of the prison charge. I became a national figure.
Jesus. Do I even need to say?
Now, people started to recognize me. These people, what they've done now is they're stalking me through private Discord accounts with anonymous people.
So Kay covered this the other day. It's not really anonymous as such, right? Because it's like a regulated social media platform. So it's not really anonymous. Yes, people's real names, and as I think it was Kate said, they don't use their names and social security numbers, but you know, it's not like everybody on there is untraceable. Also, just to clarify, I have never, I think, ever spoken about your background or your things that you got up on the wall there because, frankly, I don't care about any of that stuff. I might even agree with you on some of that stuff, but I don't know because I haven't looked into it. What I'm interested in is the way you treat people and take advantage of people. That's what people make videos about, not the fact that you're some big-time national figure and should basically have your own monument right next to Lincoln down in Washington, D.C. for being such a constitutional law scholar. LOL scholar, I should say.
Now, you're listening.
Castro, I have a hard time understanding how you're being stalked if you are publicly displaying your location by way of your live streams. Are you not live streaming?
Pro tip, don't shout over the judge.
Ma'am, if you don't let me talk, then you won't hear me.
I have a question, though. I have a question for you. I need you to answer my question. Are you live streaming your location?
No, ma'am, listen. You don't understand. What is happening is criminal. I'd like to introduce evidence at this point. You're just hearing stories. I spent the last 2 weeks.
With all due respect, Mr. DeCastro, stories or testimony is evidence.
Exactly.
So I'm taking your testimony just like I'm taking the testimony of Ms. Abrams and Peter.
I mean, you're not letting me finish at all. One is a 7-time felon, and the other one is on mandatory state medications that he lost to over 4 kids.
Okay, so the 7 times felon part of things, that is not relevant in this scenario, right? Now, let's say Josh had this big, long history of getting restraining orders, breaching them to the point where he got 7 felonies as a result of it. Then you could argue that, okay, that's evidence that, you know, this guy has a propensity for these particular type of actions. Now, I don't know anything about Josh's past. I'm not particularly interested in his past. I'm interested in how he presented himself here in court today, which I would say was fantastic, and the same for Kate, right? Now, that evidence that you're claiming there is, which is just stories, right? Just because it's written on paper and signed doesn't mean that the affidavit is true. It just means that the person is saying it's true. So you need to bear that in mind too. And then he talks about Kate being on mandatory, government mandatory meds or something. She has explained multiple times that that's not true. Now, Mr. DeCastro, on the other hand, has proven multiple times that he's willing to take something that is completely fabricated by either himself or other people and proclaim that to be the truth. For example, when I myself emailed him and told him that Irish Demon was arrested for a DUI, he spread it everywhere believing that it was true. I sent it to him just to prove how quickly he will go against somebody that he hates just based on what somebody else has said because it suits his narrative.
Ma'am, these are bad.
None of those issues are relevant for my consideration, sir. There is a particular statute that applies here.
They're not telling you the truth, and you're not looking at the evidence. I'd like to call my witness, Dane Kane, and start to introduce real evidence and affidavits from people who she's also stalked, harassed, and caused major fear and anxiety in. I'd like to call my witness with all the evidence I prepared for the past 2 weeks. I'd like to introduce the evidence and not just people talking.
Well, to be fair, he did prepare it for 2 weeks, so that probably means it's true, right? That's how that works, I think.
I'd like to introduce sworn affidavits from other people.
I'm not going to consider the affidavits, sir. Those are hearsay.
Your Honor, you have to look at the videos that she makes. This is insane. You're listening to people who are putting on a good front, but they're the bad people. This is beyond reasonable.
So it's beyond reasonable, Your Honor, because, Chili's letting you know that these are the bad people. So, you have to take that into consideration. Obviously, that's overwhelming evidence. So, I don't know. I guess I'll take my my protection order, please. Thank you very much.
I'm trying to explain to you, at least 3 events, I'd like to call my witness so he can testify what he's been through by just knowing me. And let him introduce his evidence.
What he's been through is not relevant for me to determine if you've experienced something such that you should receive an order.
Right. I'm receiving.
So again, Mr. DeCastro, I need you to address what Ms. Peters and Mr. Abrams have said.
Everything they said is a lie. It's not true at all.
We have literal evidence for the vast majority of what was said there, right? So I have videos of you threatening these people physically and legally and saying that you're going to do it just to stop them from talking about you by tying them up legally. So where's the lie here?
Nothing they said was truthful, Your Honor. I got the video to show you.
We have the videos that literally prove that everything they said is true.
You won't, for some reason, you won't accept it. I sent the man there from New Hampshire. He did get his protection order. She violated it immediately. She violated a harassment protection order last week against a woman named Lauren.
So he didn't get the order immediately. What he got was an interim restraining order, which is actually standard practice for the most part. Sorry, that I shouldn't say that everybody that goes for one gets one. But if you go for one and you tell a good enough story, generally speaking, you will get an interim order. That just means that the person has a chance to respond to it, which she has and won. So therefore, he doesn't have an order. Getting an interim order means nothing. There was no finding of fact.
This is what she does for a living.
Are you a party to that order, sir?
You have to take, as the judge, all relevant information that could be pertinent to the case.
Are you a party to that order?
Are you going to let me?
Is that a no?
I'm not. Are you going to let me introduce my evidence and call my witness?
I'm asking you if you're a party to the order involving Ms. Peters and someone else.
Are you going to allow me to interject?
Okay, so again, Mr. DeCastro, I need you to stay on point and speak to me about what I just heard Ms. Peters and Mr. Abrams tell me. They've denied every single thing you said. They've told the court that you've been live streaming your location and that they're able to show up because they're live streaming your location. They tell me that they're not stalking you at all. They tell me essentially that you are all YouTube people who have YouTube followers, who neither of you all can control what your YouTube followers do. That's what I have in front of me so far. I need to understand why you believe they are harassing you such that you should get an order of protection.
She put my address online.
You put my address online. You put her address online. You put multiple people's addresses online. Well, sorry, I should say you put what you thought was my address online. Thank you very much. You were trolled and owned by my good self.
She put my address where I'm at right now online. When I got here, there was dog shit on my door. It's on video.
No, it's not. There was Nutella on your door. That's on video. And it's also on video. You going, that's Nutella.
There was what on your door?
Dog poop on my door. It's on video. I got a video of the whole thing. She came to my location in Boston and posted a picture of herself in the lobby of my building.
Even if there was actual Canada excrement on your door, how can you prove that Kate had anything to do with that? Or Josh, for that matter. Or anybody else. It could have been your neighbors. It could have been anybody. You stream where you are.
She went to where I was on a summer vacation in New Hampshire and showed up there and put her name up there. Kate trolls always win.
Prove that that was her.
They have the pictures right there.
Pictures of the sign that you probably wrote in crayon. Like, you don't have proof that that had anything to do with Kate.
She showed up at my location to intimidate me and cause fear in me. And then once she marks my location, the trolls will then literally go into physical violence. And she chased me down in Memorial Day. Her video says, I stalked him across the city. I was checking in with the private Discord server. Is he still there? Yes, he is. I'm driving across the county, white knuckles, and we're tracking him. I'm like, is he still there? And then she says, he's not getting away without a confrontation. And then it shows me push her away from me. Then I went and filed a police report because it had become physical. I didn't ask her to track me down to where I was in Boston. She literally is on video saying I raced across the 2 different cities to get to him. She parked my car in. There's a photograph. She parked my car in so I couldn't leave. She says on video, I parked him in so he couldn't go. I was gonna have a confrontation with him. That is not free speech, Your Honor. Just watch the
What date
video.
was this, Mr. DeCastro?
That was Memorial Day where she came down,
Just so you guys know, the original video froze, just in case you're wondering.
where Josh was privately texting her our location. He's supposed to be my friend. But then he's telling Kate where I was. And then Josh filmed our interaction so that they can embarrass me online.
Josh filmed your interaction of you assaulting her is what he did. Now, as far as assaults go, it's not very serious, and Kate herself would probably say as much, right? It's not worth wasting police time on, but you did do it.
But they did it together. But if I chased across the country and it said, I'm chasing across the country and I'm checking in with people to make sure she's still there, my God, I can only imagine. And this is ridiculous. I was raised with feminists, with 7 women. I've identified as a feminist my entire life.
Really? I didn't hear this part in the original video. He identifies as a feminist. With some of the things that I've heard him say about women, I seem to kind of not believe that, really, to be quite honest.
The idea that I'd be jealous of a woman's success is just a way to try to kowtow to you, I suppose, Your Honor, but that's crazy. My mom is travel champion, what she's talking about. It's just a way to paint me in some crazy negative light. But if you just take a look, I'd like to call Zane, there's a 9
But you paint yourself in a crazy negative light, not anybody else. Like, just talking the truth and that being as it is what paints you in a negative light.
minute video that shows the actual events that happened in order. They're telling you really the story, but the evidence shows something completely different. And when you listen to Zane, just knowing me causes you massive problems. Because the troll farm attacks anybody I know.
Troll farm.
It's way past what you think. I'm suing them. You know how hard doing law is, federal tort law, filing a lawsuit against these people?
I wonder, does the sitting judge, right, who obviously had to have been a lawyer before and got elected to be a judge, I wonder if she knows how hard it is to issue a lawsuit. I wonder.
It's an amazing amount of work. I just want them to leave me alone and stop talking about me and let me go on with my life. It's not prior restraint, it's stalking me. Look at the video, they broke my doorknob on my front door. There's dogs, there's poo all over my hand, you can see it.
It's Nutella. You said as much yourself.
You won't look at it though.
All right, Mr. DeCastro, thank you for your testimony. I've heard enough to make a decision in these matters. The legal standard has not been satisfied, sir, for either of your requests. As such, your request for orders against both Mr. Abrams and Ms. Peters is going to be denied. This hearing is now concluded.
Can I call my witness?
This hearing has concluded, sir. You're all set. You're all set. You're all free to go. Just call the director of the court officer, please. No clapping, no applause. No applause.
Oh, what?
Please follow the direction of the court officers. You all can leave one set at a time. Mr. DeCastro, the hearing is over. Whoever's controlling the Zoom, Mr. DeCastro, can leave the meeting at this time.
I love that everybody started clapping in the courtroom. Now, some people were saying, like, it's like, oh, thank God this is over. I think it was like, fuck that guy. Hey. That's just my view on it. But
To all the other Zoom users, thank you for your respect. You're obviously free to stay. This is a public forum, but you can also leave if you're no longer interested in the day's proceeding.
Oh, I didn't catch the part at the end. So there was another part where a guy comes on and he says, Your Honor, just to let you know, he was live streaming the whole time. I don't think he was live streaming the whole time, but it was funny anyway. Now, there was a bit of confusion afterwards. Some people were asking whether or not he'd gotten a warrant for that. That wasn't the case. It seemed like the judge was calling the next matter and asked them to bring up the warrant. In other words, bring up the warrant matter. So anyway, there we go, lads and lassies. I must just say, I think Josh and Kate did an amazing job in there. They just put it all out there exactly as it was. There was no frills. They just said how things were. Chili, unsurprisingly, made an absolute tit of himself, doing it the whole fucking, all this nonsense. His head nearly fell off from shaking it. And yeah, you guys can see he made a complete fool of himself. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for joining me. I really hope you enjoyed my breakdown on this. Obviously, I'm about a week late, but you know, it is what it is. I was looking forward to just kind of giving my view on it. If you did like it, make sure and smash the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll catch you later. Sláinte.